live on YouTube.
Oh, right.
Todd, I like your large scissors in your background. That's if you get angry at someone.
Yeah.
It's ready. Todd, it's ready.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, there's Ms. Tracy. Okay, very good. All right, well, welcome. This is the May meeting of the Economic Development Committee. We will call this meeting to order. I guess the first order is roll call.
Committee Member Carlton? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, technical difficulties present.
Committee Member Chasey?
Here.
Committee Member Green?
Here.
Committee Member Hanson Romero? Oh, I think you're also muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Here.
Perfect. Committee Member Petrilli is absent as of now. And then Committee Member Smollins?
Here.
And Chair Abbott.
I'm here. Very good. All right. So the next item is approval of the minutes. Should go pretty quick because there is simply one action to verify, and that was the approval of the previous minutes. So can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I second.
Okay.
Who second?
Who seconded there?
Either,
All right.
yeah, there.
Okay.
Do you want to call the roll on approval?
Yeah. So roll call. Committee Member Carlton? Not hearing sound again.
Oh, sorry, approved?
Committee Member Chasey?
Aye.
Committee Member Green?
Approved.
Committee Member Hanson Romero?
Aye.
Committee Member Smollins?
Aye.
Chair Abbott? Oh, and then it looks like Committee Member Petrilli's here now too.
Okay, well, it's going to be aye for me.
And then Committee Member Petrilli, we are approving the minutes. Would you like to approve? Not seeing any sound. We'll just hold off on that. We could always circle back to it later, but yeah.
Okay, I think we'll move on then. We have the quorum to approve the minutes in either way, so that sounds good. So next item is public comment. This is for members of the public who have something to who would like to address the committee on something that's not on the agenda. I see two folks in the public. Would anybody like to speak? There we go. I see a hand.
Oh, sorry. Anne, would you be able to make me co-host?
Yes.
And we had a request. We've had a request. I've heard that we should mention the name of the person who's raised the hand because it's not visible to everybody else. So Nick Pilch would like to address the committee.
Thank you, Chair. And can you hear me all right? Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to mention on May 20th, the Albany Democratic Club is going to be hosting a forum on housing with the Vice Mayor of Berkeley, Lori Drosty, and our own Susan Friedland of Saha Associates, just to have a general discussion about housing issues in Albany and the region. Saha from Susan is the CEO of Saha, building the affordable development at Cleveland and Washington, and she can talk about her work. And Vice Mayor Lori Drosty has recently been involved in zoning issues in order to jumpstart the production of housing in Berkeley and hopefully in the region as well. So I invite you to attend May 20th, and information will also be on the Facebook page. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments from the public? Not seeing any. We will bring it back then for announcements. Staff, are there any announcements?
Well, I just wanted to make one quick announcement, which we just heard that there were 2 restaurant closures in Albany, unfortunately. So that's Da Nang Vietnamese restaurant on San Pablo Avenue. That's 905 San Pablo Avenue. And then Portala Organic Cafe on 1045 San Pablo Avenue.
Very
Potala
good.
Didn't, I believe Potala moved, the same ownership moved to that location that, I can't remember the name, but the location that was Manja Manja. So
Shangri- oh, go
Potala
ahead.
basically moved, I believe.
That's true. Sorry about that. Shangri-La Buddha Vegan in Albany on San Pablo is in a new location, as you mentioned, Amy. Thank you so much.
Also, I know that the other, the first one that you spoke about, that the first closure, I do know that Mayor Gary has an interested party who would like to start up a business in that location. However, she's having problems contacting the property manager of that property. So I don't know if you have a connection or can do additional stuff there. So
We can look into this and see what we find out.
Okay, thank you. Are there announcements from other committee members? I would take the opportunity to just mention a couple events coming up from the Swan Avenue Association and the Chamber of Commerce that for those who don't know, during much of the pandemic, the 2 organizations have been holding or kind of hosting a Cars and Coffee event on Solano Avenue, the 4th Sunday. It's great in a couple ways. It brings some activity to the street at a time when it's often not so busy. But more than that, it's bringing a demographic we don't get a lot of on Solano. So it's really exposing a lot of, we've had a lot of comments from people, I've never been here. Oh, this is so great, I'm gonna come back. And as you go throughout the day, you see some really interesting cars still parked on Solano later on. So the whole purpose of this was to have a pandemic safe event to be people to the district. And I think that's succeeding. And they're gonna start adding onto it. So in May, I believe, afterwards, there'll be an Asian food festival. And then we're working with Mayor Gary actually on a celebration of Juneteenth for the June event. So we're kind of looking forward to those activities. So that's just what I wanted to mention. So yeah, early Sunday, so 8 to 10, 4th Sunday of every month. It's a great event.
Can I ask a question about that? So with the Asian Food Festival, meaning at the local restaurants or something outside?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, we're going where we are contacting the restaurants, actually, not necessarily just the Asian restaurants, any restaurant that wants to put forward an item that would fit under that category. And then we'll have a kind of a list of what's available on that day. We're going to try to, there's some details we're working out, but it should be a nice little event.
Okay, if you want to send me an email about it, I can forward it to some of the Albany Inside Out restaurants who may or may not recognize my email address. Or
Very good.
I get 2, why not?
Very good. Absolutely. Sounds good. Thanks. Okay. Seeing no other announcements and no presentations, I think we can move on into our agenda items. So item 6.1, select members of a farmers market subcommittee. Just kind of as a preface, when we very early on when this group met, there's a lot of interest in continuing the effort to host or develop a farmers market for Albany, and that's on the current work plan. That's likely to be on the future work plan in some form. So we thought it was time to go ahead and set up a subcommittee. If we have questions about whether it should be on our future work plan, then I would say let's hold that for the work plan discussion. But I think for now, our existing work plan, there's an item for farmers market. And I know there's a lot of interested people on the committee who wanted to be on that subcommittee. So let's go ahead and open that up. We can ask for nominations. You can nominate yourself, you can volunteer. We can have 3 people on a subcommittee. Is that correct? Yeah. Member Petrilli is muted, but I see him raising his hand. I think that's a volunteer. Nod if that's yes. Okay, there we go. Okay, we have 1 volunteer.
I would volunteer.
Very good. Member Carlton? Member Smallins?
I would like to be on it, depending on how much competition there is, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
good. No, I mean, if we're, yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know, with pandemic rules, we can't do the hand-to-hand combat part, so it'll just be volunteers, yeah. So I think not seeing any more volunteers. Well, I kind of moved right into this. So I would like to move the public comment regarding this into the discussion of the work plan, because that's more, I think, relevant, because that's looking forward what we're going to be doing. And if we talk about the work plan and decide not to do the farmers market, then the subcommittee finished. I just wanted this to be a very small little item to get this out of the way, because I know there's a lot of interest, and we can do that and then kind of move the discussion further down for whether or not we need to have a farmers market effort at all. Is that all right? Okay. So we should open it for public comment. And not seeing any, so I think we can move ahead. So we have 3 volunteers. We have Member Smallins, Member Carlton, Member Petrilli. I think we have to have a motion to approve them. Is that correct?
If you want the, so I'll go. If you want if you want the subcommittee to be captured in the minutes, then you want to do a motion. That would be the reason to do it. It's not, you know, you don't have to, but if, you know, for the record, it's probably better.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah.
It's normally in the purview of the chair to appoint a subcommittee and even a chair of the subcommittee. And you can put that all in the minutes anyway without having to make a motion. But if you're doing only action minutes, then that would be the way you do that.
Very good. Thank you. So yeah, I was thinking about a chair. Does one of you want to take on the task of chair of the subcommittee?
And the chair would mainly be an organizer, make sure the committee meets and so on.
Yeah.
Do we need a volunteer for that?
We need a volunteer for the chair, yes.
Okay, I'll volunteer to be the chair for this.
Okay, very good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we create a farmers market subcommittee, members being Member Smallins, Member Carlton, and Member Petrilli, with Member Petrilli serving as chair. Can we have a second?
I'll second.
And let's vote. I think you're muted, Brennan.
Committee Member Carlton?
Aye.
Committee Member Chasty?
Aye.
Committee Member Green?
Aye.
Committee Member Hanson Romero?
Aye.
Committee Member Petrilli?
Aye.
Committee Member Smallins?
Aye.
Chair Abbott?
That's aye. Okay, very good. All right, next item, a review of the Economic Development Strategic Plan. I think we have a subcommittee to provide a report of some kind.
We absolutely do. Deidre, would you be able to share your screen and with the document that we produced?
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
Hold on, let me just get to it so you guys don't have to see my other stuff.
You know, in general, we found that the strategic plan was really a well put together document. We have a couple proposals and changes to it. However, and then there's just some general questions. So I think that the best approach is to sort of work through what we did, and we really focused on the goals more than anything else, because the data is still relevant, even though it's, you know, post-COVID. The data was taken, I think, less than 2 years ago, and there was obviously some significant effort put behind this. Bear with me, and I'm 90% back to my workstation. Deidre, do you want to take point, or I mean, I'm more than happy to.
Hold on.
And does everyone have it?
Am I muted? No.
No,
Okay.
no, you're
I
good.
don't want to take point.
That's perfect. That's perfectly good. I got you. Give me just one moment, and I will get my technology in line. Okay, so really this first recommendation. I mean, this was approved in 2000, and Joan without video. Was improved in 2017. Most of the goals are relevant still to today. We'll start with let's update the years. My first question is who would be responsible for updating this proposal? And I would like to just identify that.
Well, this is a council approved document, so any changes that the committee wants to make would have to go to council.
Okay, great.
So what we would do is we would develop a proposal and submit that as we are proposing to update the strategic plan in this way, and they would consider it and then approve it or not. Yeah.
Great.
And meanwhile, things that you've identified can make their way into our work plan. So that kind of, it fits in well with your observation about goals. Great.
So we're gonna say that update the years, right, and make this more relevant. We keep coming back to this idea of the Buxton and committee member Romero, I think is right in our understanding that getting an outside source to sort of complete a study and recommendations on new business development, on who to approach, how to approach it, would be beneficial for the whole group. And so one of our proposals that sort of came out of this was to solicit a presentation from them, potentially for as early as June. Next is we wanted to propose, and really we'll go through each goal, and this will tie back to the top, but propose sort of a QR code poster that connects to Solano Avenue Association and serves as sort of a business directory for Albany. The adoption of QR codes has been is a reality since COVID, and I think that it's important to know who's where and how, and really we have all the resources of what businesses are close to what location, and pointing people in that direction I think would be helpful for everybody. Another one would just be to modernize, expand, and make some of these items actionable. Update this proposal for sort of a post-COVID world. So some of this stuff within the proposal is like, make applying for a business online easier, right? And approve, at-home businesses systematically, right? And all of those things sort of have been accomplished over the last year and a half. So update this proposal to reflect those changes. Create an active business vacancies and current developments online reference guide. That language is a little bit off, but in general, that would be one of the proposals or recommendations that we would do, would to create sort of this database of upcoming developments and of current vacancies. For example, the old Potala location, and so that we as a committee could advise or go out and sort of solicit business activity. Create City of Albany hiring portal. This was one other sort of idea that we came up with. But let's just work through the goals just one by one and sort of and we'll start from there. So if everybody can, I don't know if anybody's pulled up the actual strategic plan, but if you do on page 5, there's a very easy sort of snapshot chart.
Would you like me to pull up the plan? I can
sure,
share
yeah.
my screen and pull up the plan.
Yeah, pull up the plan. And then what I can do is you pull up the plan, and then actually, before you do that,
Mhm.
Deidre, would you just scroll really quickly, or Deidre, do you still have it up? I could share my screen. Actually, let me share my screen because I've got it side by side, and I think that will be the easiest way to do it. Share. Let me know if this is if this is legible to everyone. Can you all see that, or is this too small?
The notes that you have could be a little bit larger, and it looks
Okay.
like there's room to fit that.
Yeah, there is. I'm just not control plus plus plus. Got it. Better?
Better.
Okay. So I'm just going to talk a lot for the next 10 minutes, if that's okay with everybody, and sort of share with you what we found. So on the left-hand side is the strategic plan, which hopefully everybody has read. Right. We start with the introduction. They talk about demographics. I'm sorry about that. It goes into demographics, major employers and business sectors. This is all analysis. This talks about the permit process and customer service enhancement, which I think has been really accomplished. We may want to audit that. And then it's sort of goals and action. So if we go to in the summary on page 5, we really have 6 actions that were approved and sort of for our focus. One was partner with businesses. That's short, low cost, and that is pretty much going to stay. Improve city halls proactive economic development efforts. That's short to midterm with a medium cost. Target retail restaurants for business actions, mid to low medium. Get more infill development, long, medium, high. Upgrade built environment, short, mid, medium, high. Improve customer service and permit process. In general, we sort of targeted like how can we execute on the partner with businesses more effectively and make sure that this is an action that is completed. Improve city halls proactive economic developments. Basically, this was we wanted to make sure that this was that we were encouraging this to happen, as well as holding them accountable. Target retail restaurants for business. This was one that was sort of a gray area, which was hard to do, and this is where Buxton sort of comes in. Get more infill development was sort of similar to sort of recruiting. Long-term, medium to high cost. We didn't really come up with a bunch of recommendations for item number 4. Upgrade built environments. This seems to be one that is important and tangible, but expensive and out of budget. And we'll review that, and then improve customer service and permit process. There seems to be improvements on this, and I think that the point here is to sort of modernize, systematize, and automate some of these processes. So if we go into our review notes and proposals, goal number 1 is foster local partnerships. And I will skip down to, I'll try to keep it side by side. I think this is page 47 or something like that. Give me just 1 second. This is appendix, it's above this. So goal number 1 is offer support, foster local partnerships. So 1A is offer support. So our comments here are remove the free meeting space item. This seems to be just no longer relevant. I don't think it ever happened. The idea was to offer some meeting space for large employers to gather. Consider job fair post-COVID. That is something that I think we would want to potentially update and really agree upon on whether or not that's the right thing to do. Expand on marketing was the other part within 1A. The expand on marketing part was really about the job fair, about a job fair. And I just want to take a quick vote. Who thinks that having a job fair in the city of Albany is worthwhile, or should we come up with some sort of alternative to the idea of having a formal job fair? And I don't want to sway anybody's opinion on that, because I sort of have an opinion of my own.
One thing I would like to mention, and this doesn't, I mean, it's not so much providing an opinion, it's more just the possibilities. I mean, so this is a long-term plan. So when you're considering that, if that is something that you want to consider for the future, post-COVID, that that's something to consider. And then also I've seen that there's virtual job fairs, like the city of Baltimore has a virtual job fair as well. So that's also a possibility. Just wanted to mention that, not to sway anything.
So what does a City of Albany job fair even mean? I honestly have no idea. I mean, I know what a
lose you?
job fair at a company
I
is,
think you,
or
what happened to me?
I think that would be an event where employers could kind of promote or advertise their openings, and people looking for jobs could apply for them. I think that's kind of the idea. It's not like jobs with the city of Albany. It's jobs within the city of Albany, I think yeah.
so basically restaurants or retail organizations or whatever, shops or
Whoever,
whatever it is
yeah,
that I need.
whoever. And
Okay.
right. I mean, the chamber's kind of had an informal job fair we've had the annual mixer with the high school business program. And so that a lot of a lot of students have gotten summer jobs through that event. And that's kind of a small scale. We're looking for kind of a fuller scale event, I think. I think it's a good idea. I would like to see that happen. And I especially after COVID, because there will be openings.
I think it's a good idea as well. I mean, no, I think it's a very good idea. I mean, if people can find local work, even if it's part-time or something, they may not know that a new place is here or yeah, so.
Also, the thought behind this too was a lot of, different employers right now, whether it, be retail or any of the restaurants, is that maybe they can't bring on their employees full time, but maybe, some shared employment ventures to go on as well. So
I see Member Chasey has his hand up.
Yeah, first I would ask, is the purpose of the jobs fair to help local residents, or is the purpose of the job fair to help local businesses? Because we're in the business of trying to promote business in Albany, not necessarily do social services for job seekers. If the purpose is to deal with allowing people to look for jobs, the biggest employers in Albany are not the small businesses, but rather the school district, the city, and maybe down at the research center down near the freeway. And if the goal, if what we're trying to do is to provide a situation where local hiring is happening, that's a great thing to do. And I'm not speaking against that. It's just a little bit outside of the purview of what we normally think of our job as. Anyway, if we're going to do a jobs fair, I think that's a wonderful thing. You can certainly do it online. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the businesses to be able to post their openings to help them find people and to help residents find the businesses that have job openings, so they don't have to travel very far. Life can be a lot easier if you're dealing with the realities of modern homebound situations with COVID. Having a job that's near home makes your life a lot easier to deal with childcare and the like.
Member Carlton?
Yeah, I agree with what council member or with committee member Chasey was saying, that if there was a website or some place where you could see where all of the local listings were, that would be helpful, maybe in addition to a job fair.
Very good. Yeah, I see it as helping businesses as well as residents. I know that it can be challenging to find qualified employees. People look on Craigslist. Well, what if you don't want to advertise on Craigslist? So it's a way to match up local people looking for work and businesses that need employees. Member Petrilli?
Yeah, I think that I've hosted large job fairs in the past, and they were effective. But I think that with the way that people are recruiting these days, it might be either refreshingly out of date or completely out of date. And I do think that regardless of whether we push forward and keep the job fair sort of idea on our strategic plan, I really think that having a city sponsored sort of posting for either for the businesses or for the residents or both, really where a resident can say, you know, here's my resume, you know, hire me, or a job says we are currently hiring, or act as a sort of liaison between the two, right? So that, you know, it's a maybe it's simply that the potential employee submits their resume to the city, and then the city is able to push that out to say this, you know, this email list, right? Here's the current residents that are looking for work. Here's their resumes, and so on and so forth. I do know that a lot of people are, especially in the restaurant industry, they're having a very, very hard time hiring. And so anything that can sort of help get local people who are looking for work into those positions would be helpful.
Okay, let's. I think we could flag this as to kind of consider this as a work plan item. So let's just kind of keeping an eye on time. Maybe we can continue with the review.
Got it. Okay. So 2 was convene initial meetings of like businesses, encourage them to continue meeting and communicating, right? We wanted to keep and expand, maybe host a webinar in some form, or at least add sort of the webinar format, connecting businesses to resources such as the SBA or whatever it is. Encourage shared marketing on social media. That was something that I think would have a powerful approach. This
We lost his sound.
Yep.
Member Petrilli, we can't hear you, though it doesn't look like you're muted.
Hanson, Romero, or Green. I think that we're good.
Now we can hear you. We weren't able to hear you for a while, Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. Well, let me know next time. Just do thumbs down or something. Business collaboration, keep it up. 1C is expand on Albany Local Week. That is obviously a popular event. You know, support and expand that as well. Dinner with Albany, I think, will be in a year and a half. Whether or not that happens or not, we'd hope to see it happen. 1D is initiate a marketing campaign targeting residents. So our recommendation here was to update this, contact the sort of the social media director at the city, add hashtags, use the chamber, the Solano Avenue Association, and the city social media, create a social media campaign as needed, really. And yeah, that was sort of the rough update to the language on 1D. The last one that we had too was this idea.
Just a moment. I'm sorry, Member Petrilli. I see the Member Smallins has her hand up.
Please.
You were muted when you were talking through 1B. Unfortunately, I'm just not sure what. So add QR code to solanoave.org. So I have a question, because I know all businesses aren't members of Solano Avenue of the SAA, because they're just not, and some don't feel like they can afford it or whatever. So that's basically, that's sending people to certain businesses, but not to other businesses in Albany. So I'm just wondering what that's supposed to do. And it doesn't seem universal to all the businesses in Albany.
So the idea was to create sort of a directory that people could reference, so that people could get pushed to retail, or get pushed to grocery, or to restaurants, or to bars, or whatever it is, based on where they are. So I mean, everyone has a mobile directory on their phone. So it's not necessarily like the greatest and most thorough idea. And then obviously there's this issue of who's actually on these organizations. But the intention was to quickly point people in the direction of what's near them, what's around them, as opposed to having sort of an old school sort of like, you know, mall directory of saying, you know, California Pizza Kitchen is here and this retailer is here on floor 2B. So yeah, I hear that, and And I do think that, you know, Yelp and Google have checked off this box of where can I get a bar or a good snack nearby. So any other thoughts on that? I mean, we can.
So then a question is like to Jennifer or Todd, what percentage of the businesses are members of the SAA? And also that's also cutting out like, what if you want an architect or all these other kind of home-based businesses or a website designed or something like that? So it just seems very small if you're trying.
My response would be that, and this is actually something that the kind of ad hoc group that met during the pandemic was talking about, would be to recreate the Find It in Albany website that lists every business in Albany. Right? I have an export of the business license records with the basic contact information, address and email, and we could do that, and it would be something very simple, but then we could make that kind of the source, because it is an issue that you know, the SAA is a great organization, but it doesn't include every business. I mean, not every business only is on or near Solano. It's the chamber. You know, we cover the whole city, but we certainly don't have every business on our list. The two organizations together, we don't have all the business. So we do need a more comprehensive list, and so I think working from the city business license records, we can get started on that.
That would seem much less limiting, and it would seem like a better idea and really help the businesses. Yeah.
I think the advantage of using the SAA or the chamber would be that we could do it tomorrow, but as opposed to now talking about developing a website and et cetera. So that's the short.
Yeah, we really just wanted something to hit the low hanging fruit and get something going right away, so that, because we do have a lot of it built in there, but we can certainly add to it.
And I see member Chasey has his hand up.
So how would this work? I'm an Albany resident and I'm looking to find a job, or I'm looking to find a business, or I'm looking to perhaps explore opening a business. How would this list work? And by the way, I don't understand what QR means. I'm sure everybody else does, but you know, maybe I'm a dinosaur.
So a QR, so I see this as a business directory, like you would have a mall map, like a map at a mall. So we're not really talking about the job fair or other things. We're talking about people finding services that they need. A QR code is one of those little square icons with the dots, and you put your phone on it, and it opens a website. It's a very quick and easy way to access a web address. And so you would print it on posters on, say, the Big Bellies or something, and somebody could access that and use it kind of like a mall directory for the whole city. Yeah, there we go. There's a QR code, rather than you know, going to Yelp or something.
But if you don't mind, I was thinking about this. If you're going to have this approach where the people go to the city to do this, wouldn't you want something where whoever's the inquisitor comes in and finds that there's both job postings, business opportunities, there are vacancies on the avenue or vacancies on San Pablo Avenue, and there are also these other businesses that you can do business with, as sort of like a one flow of how you can do your entire experience can be inside of Albany with regard to, and maybe a place to find customers as well. You have people who are posting for, in some way, trying to attract business, so that you, not just that there's a location, but that maybe some other way to enhance or attract businesses to your website. Anyway, the idea would be that you'd have an experience where you could come in and you'd see all of those opportunities at once, and you'd be able to follow up which one you wanted to pursue. Doesn't it? Seems like a simple website design.
Sure it does. So it would be a general business portal, like kind of like doing business in Albany in all the ways that means. I think that's a great idea. A one-stop shop to have all these different ways to interact.
Don't you design websites, Todd?
I do, and I know it sounds easy, but there's actually a lot involved in what we've just described.
So you could get this done by what, Sunday?
Fair enough. Now you're starting to sound like my clients. Okay. again, in the interest of time, I think that this is I would like to see something like this. I like the idea of calling it a business portal, and I like the idea of the QR codes and kind of some outreach on the avenue. So maybe we can kind of think about this in terms of a work plan item when we get down there. But I would like to kind of move on to continue this review.
Great. Thank you. And Christy, it's really interesting that you brought all of that, because connecting those dots would be a hurdle, but I think really meaningful. Again, 1B was to convene initial meeting of like businesses, encourage them to continue meeting and communicating. Really, that I don't think that was happening, right? I think people are too busy. You know, the carpenters were talking. I think we leave 1B on because I think it's a good idea, but in practice, it doesn't necessarily have a bunch of tangibles attached to it. We were trying to make it more tangible. 1C was local week. We keep that. We expand upon it, right? Work with the Solano Avenue Association Chamber in the city to get those things done. Initiate a marketing campaign targeting residents. This is one that I think that we have the opportunity to expand upon and explore. So keep the action, but change the approach to embrace social media and digital marketing, right? This goes into the idea of modernizing this approach, right? Go online with it. So connect the city on social media strategies, hashtag shop Solana adoption, and sort of kick that around. Shop Albany, similar to the success that was dying outside. Use chamber, create a social media campaign as needed, find content generators and communicate hashtags, and so on and so forth. So this is a 1D is a good item, and I think that we could update the language just to be a little bit more contemporary. Any questions? And then,
I just have a comment on and I think it's just housekeeping on your third bullet point to use chamber SAS. Isn't that SAA?
Yes, yeah. My spelling and grammar is terrible.
Just I would just like to make sure that we're not confused that that's another committee or something, or another organization.
Yeah, it probably is. There was a proposal that we had, which was, I think, something that was tangible, and maybe we can add to the work plan, which is to initiate a business spotlight to be included with the e-newsletter. The business spotlight would be something that would be voluntarily signed up for, and every month in the newsletter, there would be a business and sort of a short story along with that.
I have a comment on that for I get the Kensington Farmers Markets emails, and they always do every week, they spotlight one of the vendors there. And I always really appreciate that because it's a little bit more in depth. So I think that's a great idea.
Improve City Hall's proactive efforts to business to support business growth, business retention and attraction. There's a summary here. 1A is create a web page on how to start businesses in Albany. We want to keep and improve that. We wanted to create a digital welcome packet so that there's no confusion about when a new business comes in, who to contact and how to contact them. That was an issue in the past. So that was a proposed update. And that would be sort of a recommendation to the city to produce almost like a digital flyer or pamphlet. Should include the professional recommendations and critical contacts, right? So, who to contact at fire, who to contact at health, who to contact at regarding facades and the rest of the requirements. So that was a proposal. 2B was promote small business training, keep as is. This was a good one. What is the EBEDA? Chair Abbott or Brendan, anybody know what this is?
Well, there's the East Bay Economic Development.
Yeah, Administration Association. Yeah, it's an arm of the SBA, I believe. The arm of the Small Business Association.
Okay. So keep moving along. Conduct a biannual survey. We're in the process of doing that. Keep as is. 2C is centralize and track business indicators. Keep if effective, if executed and delivered.
Let me just jump in. Member Smolens, your hand is up. Is that intentional or you?
It's actually intentional, yeah.
Okay, very good.
I have a question. You had, can you just pan back up? Yeah, tilt back up. So improve City Hall's proactive efforts to support business growth. Is there anything we can put in here? I don't know about expediting the permit process, because I know over the past year, the permit process in some instances has been very, very slow, months, and maybe have some sort of a deadline to respond. But something, it's been really, it's been really problematic for a few businesses, and it's taken them months to even get responses, let alone approvals. So I don't know what we can do there, but.
I think that's a super valid point. My assumption was that there was that they were on they had a pretty good track record over the last 2 years of improving that. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe we should find out.
And I think that's actually in further down, Michael.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
Yeah.
Let's. I'm going to highlight this, and then I don't know if I can highlight it, but.
If I could sort of just chime in really quick, just in
Sure.
interest of time, because we want to make sure to approve the work plan. Should we kind of do a little bit of a shift and then look at the work plan, decide on what those items are, and then that might help dictate what to focus on for the strategic plan? And then that's, again, it's just in interest of time, because we do want to make sure that the work plan is discussed.
Yeah, with that in mind,
I'd be fine with that.
okay, can you maybe, are there any things you really think we need to hear from the remaining part before we talk about work plan, or
let's go through this really quickly. Keep as is, keep it as. Yeah. So who's the staff person and the primary?
That's all done. We can move on. That's done. Isabel's the staff person. We can move on. Yeah.
Got it. I mean, how much of a time frame are we in right now? Okay.
If we could be done in 2 minutes, that'd be great.
Okay. Target new businesses, retail. Let's define target. Blah blah blah. Buxton comes back up. Goal number 4: more infill development. We keep it as is. Goal number 5: upgrade development. We need to remove a couple of things here that are irrelevant. Design quality is irrelevant. It just doesn't seem to be happening. Civic signage needs to be improved. It's too much money to spend. We should focus on the Buchanan Street sign that points people to Solano. Public art program is on hold. We should collaborate with our commission. Off-street parking, keep, remove the investigation park, and then improve customer service and streamline business approvals. This is a big one. We need to follow through and hold people accountable. Good?
Okay, that's great.
Sweet.
All right.
All right.
Are there any questions from the, I mean, we've kind of asked questions during, but are there any questions from the committee?
I'd also be happy to circulate this, synthesize it with the group via email. I don't know if that's possible.
So I have one question, if that's okay.
Okay.
I'm not clear what we're going. There was some concern that if we move forward quickly, we'd be using the Chamber and the Solano Avenue Association, their listings. Have we abandoned doing that because it's not inclusive enough, or are we going to do that as a start? Because that would be up and running more quickly.
I think what we're considering is making it a work plan item, and then we'd make that decision at a future meeting, perhaps next month.
Okay.
We'd talk about it.
I just didn't want it to fall off the radar.
No, absolutely. I made a note of it here. I agree. Yeah.
I'm going to stop my share. Okay.
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
Sorry, I must have clicked outside the window. Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody observing who'd like to chime in on this one. See no one. I don't think there's really any action here. Just we'll keep this in mind and we will move on unless anybody has anything they'd like to add. And no. Okay, very good. So next item. The draft. Let's review the business survey on support and recovery. And everybody should have received that. Maybe we can do a screen share on this one too, Brennan, maybe?
Yeah, I'll do a screen share, and then I'll just run through the questions really quickly, just so we have
perfect.
An idea of what those are. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so this is a draft of the business survey on support and recovery. And as we discussed in the previous two meetings, that this really should be focused on moving forward and how can the businesses be supported in this process to move forward toward economic recovery. So the first question is, which of the following titles applies to you in relation to your business? Just identifying questions. Second question, what is your industry sector? Do you identify with most? Then we move into what modifications have you made, have you implemented to your business during the pandemic? So this has the multiple choice options, but then it also has no modifications other where it can you can specify, and then it also has additional comments. So if those who want to have a longer comment, they can do that. And then that also ties into question 4, which is if you have made modifications to your place of business, which, if any, do you plan to keep? And then that also has a place for additional comments. The idea of this is to allow those taking the survey to either provide multiple choice, or if they feel like they need to elaborate, they can do that. So they can have both the quantitative and subjective qualitative comments. So then we move into how has your business changed the number of employees or employee hours since we just said January 2021, and then that has options as well. And then you can, it's number 6 is please indicate your level of concern regarding the potential long-term impacts of COVID-19 and shelter in place on your business. So we want to make sure to hear from those. And then this also has an additional comments section. Now this one, it says, what support would be most helpful for your business in the near term? And this one, I just wrote ranked choice because that is an option if you want to apply that, and that it might help to guide what happens in what order. As far as what the city should focus on. And then has this business requested financial assistance from any of the following sources? And it has the options. And then the follow-up to that is, has this business received financial assistance from any of the following sources? And that has those same options. Question 10 is, in the next 6 months, do you think this business will need to do any of the following? Has the options there. And then the last question is, please share your contact information if you would like to be contacted by staff from the city's Economic Development Division. I will stop sharing for now while we have a discussion, and I can share if there's specific questions that we need to reference.
Are there any specific kind of qualifying questions from the committee regarding this before we open it for public comment? Oh, I see. Member Green.
So I thought, first of all, I thought it was a good survey, and from a business person's perspective, but unless it's going out like in the next week, some of it might not even be relative. Like if we come out of shelter in place in 2 weeks or whenever that could potentially happen, all that language would need to be modified. I mean, obviously the end questions, which are about financing, that's not going to change, but it does seem like we're going to come out of restrictions, at least for a little while this summer. So I would just say maybe it needs a little bit of tweaking in that regard. Otherwise, I actually thought it was a really good survey and short enough that it would be easy for someone to answer.
Any other, thank you. Any other questions regarding what we've seen?
Just questions, right?
Yeah, at this point it's questions, that's right. Seeing none, we'll open for public comment if anybody attending would like to be heard on this topic. I see Mr. Pilch has raised his hand again, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I wasn't aware that the city had an economic development division. That might be pushing it a little bit. Maybe we should say community development division or economic development liaison or something, but that might be a little bit of over advertising. But more importantly, on items 3 and 4, we are omitting expanding outdoor dining. So a number of restaurants have expanded outdoor dining as a result of COVID. And so I think we need to have that as a specific item in under 3 and 4. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back for discussion. So I believe Member Smollins may have something to discuss at this point.
Yeah, couple of questions. Why has your business changed? How's your business changed the number of employees or employee hours of work since January 1st, 2021? Do we not want to have it earlier than that time, since everything's changed last March? So I'm just.
I think Brennan mentioned he just kind of chose that date, but we can certainly change that if we like. What would you propose?
That's a good, maybe June or something. I mean, June of 2020 would seem. And then, yeah, when I saw this, I was sort of flummoxed by the obvious, like when you walk outside, you see people eating outside all the time. So I think I call it maybe outdoor seating, because dining, like there's coffee shops and things of that. So yeah, outdoor seating, I think, needs to be modified.
Would outdoor operations be appropriate, or because I do know that some gyms, for instance, had classes in parking lots and things like that. I don't know if we want to.
Sure. I mean, outdoor operations, including outdoor seating, I want to keep I don't want, like, a business owner to think, well, I wasn't really operating outdoors. I want to make sure we say seating or something like that, just because, in part because of the language issue.
No, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, very good.
Yeah, thank you. So again, in 3 and 4 for sure, specifically. Yeah, thanks.
Any other comments? Just feel free at this point, just feel free, yeah.
Okay, I guess I have a comment again on going back to number 5 with the date. I kind of agree that going back further, maybe to June, makes sense, but I wonder how different or how relevant that time is during those 6 months, because I feel like the changes now between January to now, because things are opening up, I guess I wonder if it's still the same picture. Like if you answered it from June on, would their answers be different than if it was January on? So I don't know if I don't really want to increase the number of questions, but I think there is I feel like you might get different answers depending on what that date is. It's in there on number 5.
I guess maybe we need to step back. And what are we trying to find out? Are we trying to find out what was the impact of the pandemic in general, or are we trying to find out kind of how people are doing right now?
Right. How are people coming out of it?
Yeah.
And also the question then would be, and what are we planning on doing based upon those answers?
Right. So I think we just need to make a proposal. So we have two options. We have a June 2020, which would give us kind of, or we might even want to say April, when things kind of really started happening, to kind of get the picture of the whole pandemic. Or do we want to say January, figuring that last year's survey kind of covered April through the end of the year, basically. So we're kind of picking it up from there. That'd be kind of, those are the two options I see.
I'm more interested in more current information.
Me too, because we answered a lot of those already. The business owners did get one already. So unless the goal is to see what businesses changed, but in that case, the ones that went out aren't even going to get this because they're off the email list.
One thing I will mention with the January 1st date was that was when we were sort of in our kind of most recent kind of code. I mean, like tier orange, I believe. So we were in that tier, and so that was sort of the thought process behind that. Though again, whatever you decide is certainly fine with me. But that was the thought process.
Okay, so I think we've had 3 folks speak up kind of in support of, of starting in January. I remember Carlton, member Hensel, I remember Green. Any other input?
Yeah, I would like to look forward in that pack.
Okay, all right. So I think we're going to keep it with January. I think that works. Thank you. I did have a couple comments on question 6. This is the one about potential long-term impacts. I would like to see something here about repayment of deferred rent, trying to get at the idea of challenges they might face, business might face that kind of took advantage of the eviction moratorium. So I don't think we need a question. I think we just add that as an option on number 6. And then, I would like to see after maybe question 9, this might actually be a question 10 or maybe a 9A. If you requested aid or assistance and didn't receive it, kind of a question, can you tell us why? If you're comfortable with sharing this information, why? This is the sort of question. I was contacted by Buffy Wick's office, and this is the sort of thing they're looking for. What problems did people have getting this assistance? And I would like to know that. And if they're not comfortable sharing it, fine. I would just like to have it as an option there.
I'm not sure, like I was denied and I didn't get a reason.
Well, that would be a valuable thing to say.
Yeah.
I wasn't told why, because
Yeah.
that's something we would share as well when people
Yeah.
come and ask us about the
Okay.
programs. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. I would request, Brendan, I had an embarrassing interchange. I thought that questions 8 and 9 were identical, so I didn't read them very closely. So I would like to see requested and received capitalized, maybe all caps, just in the question, just kind of underline that. I'd like to say it was late at night, but it wasn't, so I really have no excuse. So forgive me.
I mean, another option too could be it's just slightly reworded where it still means the same thing, but just so you know that to your point,
We could
incredibly similar, but a one-word difference.
I like the mirror though. I like the requested and received. I like that link. So but I just kind of emphasize the different perspective on it maybe. And then the only other option or thing I wanted to see just a general comment box at the end. Please provide any comments you would like to share with whether it's the Economic Development Division, which might be generous, or with the Economic Development, or even just the committee would be valuable. And Member Smallins, I see your hand up.
Yeah, just responding to what Member Green said before about shelter-in-place order restrictions are lifted being out of date. How about, because things are still changing, and whether it's actual limitations that are proscribed or the fact that people don't feel comfortable doing XYZ based on their own health or vaccination status or anything. How about as COVID limitations evolve, because that's like limitations that are prescribed, but also self-imposed limitations. So maybe which, if any, do you plan to keep as COVID limitations evolve? That might be wording that would be appropriate and better for the long term.
Okay, I do like the idea of kind of making the language more general so that it could cover kind of our perspective right now, but also kind of work after things are opening. So kind of looking at tents. Yeah, like question 3, what modifications, if any, have you implemented to your place of business during the pandemic? You know, did you or have you or you know, or did you? I guess did you would work. And I think that's probably the only, and then the one that Member Smallins just mentioned. Member Chasty.
Do we intend to improve the lives of the businesses that have been hurt? Are we going to give them money? Are we going to make them whole?
Well, I don't think we can stand here and say we're going to give them money, but we're going to try to find out what we can do. And that's kind of what the survey is about. Maybe it is connecting them with SBA consultants or something to help them get those loans, or maybe it is something that we can provide.
Well, we all understand.
I'd like to be able to say we can give folks lots of money, but.
Well, we all understand at the moment that PPP has run out of money again. And we all understand that during the process of applications, lots of people got gobbled up into these entities that seem to just collect all your information. God knows what they did with it, but they certainly didn't produce loans at the end of the rainbow. So, and then the banks made it exceedingly difficult once again to apply and get approved. Not that it's impossible, but it's difficult. And there are lots of landlords that have cut rents because they didn't want to lose tenants. And are they going to get that money back? And there are lots of accommodations that were made. I don't think the survey is really targeted towards service businesses, you know, like the ones I'm involved with. It's more targeted toward businesses that require space and customers. So a lot of the businesses that say clients of mine, they end up with Zoom meetings instead of face-to-face meetings, and digital signatures instead of, they're just all these workarounds. And those things, they don't lend themselves well to this survey, really. I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it's a good idea. You're trying to do a good thing. But I think in the end, I forget which one of us said that we're coming to a close on a lot of these, and we're changing what's going on. If we're not going to go back and make people whole, we'll just have a kind of a better understanding of how much they suffered.
Well, I mean, I would agree that we're not going to be helping people make them whole, but we can prepare for the future. We can, you know, we are,
for the next
our input is requested.
For the next pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. And give feedback on programs that worked and didn't work, and how they could be improved. I mean, that's a role that we can serve.
Yeah, fair enough.
And not to mention the organizations, how we might be able to help. And and I see Member Petrelli's hand is up. Member Petrelli, I see your hand is up. There we go. I do see you're muted.
I'm back. Thank you. The question was, is there going to be a disclaimer with this about, you know, the about privacy, or should there be, that in all attempts this will be only, you know, it won't be public, because I'm assuming that some businesses wouldn't want to answer these questions, that they'd be more inclined to answer them honestly if there was some anonymity.
I don't think that the results are linked to specific businesses. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no name, or it's just a kind of a general
and
position.
The final question, where they could submit their email address, we don't make that public. We hold that back. Yeah.
Well, maybe there specify in that question, this information will remain private, other than city staff, and I don't know if we're included in that or what, but other than somebody, or will not be made public. So
yeah, no, that's a good. I do think we need a statement about privacy there.
Thanks.
How is this going to be sent out? To everyone who has a business license? Is that how it's going to be sent out, or Brendan
or Isabel, do you have?
Brendan, I think what we're going to do is use our email list, because it's going to be a electronic survey. So we're going to use our email list of 1,000+ emails, and use that, and then also probably send a business news with a link to the survey.
So the 1,000 emails are basically people with all the business licenses then? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the chamber, the SAA will send it to their list, and I assume you could send it to the Inside Out list. And
yes, I would like.
You know, just try to get, if somebody gets a reminder or notice 3 times, they're more likely to fill it out, so it's all fine.
Yep. Thanks.
All right.
And I just want to mention, I think that if we're going to keep it anonymous for the businesses, that I don't think that any of us should really have access to identify. I think that it should just stay on city staff level.
Yeah. Fair enough. So
Yeah,
go
we'll
ahead, Elizabeth.
share the results, you know, the same way they were shared with you the last time the city did a survey. So we'll share with you the results for each
Great,
question.
thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Is there anything to vote on? Do we need to approve this, or is it, we're good to go? I don't know if there's anything we need to vote here.
No, I think this is like your final input on the survey questions, and then staff will move forward with sending it out.
So you'll
Excellent.
make the changes that we suggested then?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You want to, so can I make a motion that, what was the?
No, I don't think we need a vote. I think we're just, we've provided the feedback and
Yeah,
off they
and
go.
we took
Yeah.
some good notes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
And will that be in the, but if we do vote, then won't it be in the action? Then won't it be in the minutes? And if we don't, then it's not, or is there a way to get it in the minutes, like with the specific changes?
I think we're going to have to, so what we're doing here, this survey isn't an action of the Economic Development Committee. It is an action of city staff. We're simply providing feedback to city staff, and then they'll take that and they'll do their work. So we're simply providing feedback here. I don't think we need to take an action.
Okay, thanks.
And then if the survey comes out and they miss something, you can let them know.
And it'll have been
Right.
sent. Okay,
All
thanks, thanks.
All right, thank you. We'll move on then. Very good. Let's see, move my
Oh,
agenda.
Todd, may I ask one last thing on the survey is, do we have a timeline? Isabel, do you have an anticipated timeline of when that would actually be going out?
As soon as possible. So this was our last step, and we'll work on putting it into a format that can be sent. So I would say within, by the end of the month of May. Yeah.
Great, thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you.
And I meant to say, by the way, I wanted to thank the subcommittee for all the work they did on the strategic plan review. I know there's a lot of work, and I really appreciate you guys did a great job. Just wanted to mention that. I forgot to do it earlier. And then thank you, Brennan and Isabel, for working on the survey. Thank you to everybody, but I know it's a lot of work and we appreciate it. All right. Item 6.4. Yes, the economic development work plan. Brennan, can you kind of introduce this?
Yes, as soon as I unmute properly. Yes, so I'm going to just share what we have. Let me get down to the part that we will be discussing. So today you'll have the option to review the items on here, and what is listed is based on what was previously on there or what was mentioned in previous meetings as far as things that you were thinking the EDC could focus on. So today would basically be removing anything that you don't feel is a priority or adding things that you feel like we're missing, that type of thing. But I'll just kind of go through these one by one, and we'll kind of have the discussion after that. So in the marketing category, there's informed marketing and outreach materials, including a marketing brochure, promotional video, and social media. Number 2 is assist in developing and analyzing results of the survey to evaluate efforts related to business attraction, retention, and permit/customer service issues, and discover new ideas for local business growth, or for supporting local business growth. Number 3 is continue to provide ongoing input on potential business uses for vacant properties and new development. Number 4 is support businesses by providing best practices for recruiting and hiring, help increase employment in the city, and a place for businesses to post job ad and employee resume. Under the collaboration category, there is work with the Arts Committee to encourage art in commercial areas. And number 6 is look for ways to, sorry, let me just scroll down here. Look for ways to collaborate with other city committees and local business groups. Number 7 is conduct research and consult with other cities about strategies for economic development. Under projects, you have identify options for a successful farmers market. Number 9 is explore the feasibility of identifying space for business incubator in Albany. Number 10 is assist in the design of economic recovery of the economic recovery plan. Number 11 is provide input on a business recruitment and retention plan when it comes to the committee. And then under changes in the commercial corridors, provide input of wayfinding signage to increase visibility of city when presented to committee. 13 is look at sidewalk vending in Albany. And then number 14 is explore temporarily adjusting free parking time limit on some spaces in Albany to allow for curbside pickup. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, any clarifying questions about our task here? This will be our final review of the work plan. This will go to City Council. They will review it and likely make some changes, maybe add, maybe remove, and then approve. And that's what we'll be working on for the next 2 years.
And another thing I will add is ordering the priority of what you want to focus on is always ideal.
Okay, thank you. Member Smolens?
Yeah, I think we need to put something, support businesses changing needs post-pandemic as a general, and that might be maybe the free parking time limit is part of that maybe, but I think in the big picture, the major idea is what do businesses need post-pandemic? Do they need more parking? Do they need outdoor dining? Do they need whatever, like what is it? Rather than changes in the commercial corridors being something small, I think it needs to be the big picture that would apply to more businesses.
Okay, well taken. Any other kind of clarifying questions before we open for public comment?
Todd, were we adding the Buxton to this, or?
Well, we'll get into questions and then we can have discussion about items to add. Yeah. Okay, not seeing any questions. We will now open for public comment. I see Mr. Pilch again would like to be heard.
Thank you again, Chair. So I would, I might have missed the previous discussion of this because I've just heard that this is almost final. But if it were me, I would consider adding perhaps under collaboration or maybe under a new item, education, which is to invite a member of the East Bay EDA to come and talk and present to you, and invite a member of KALB to come and talk and present to you, and any other organization out there with professional expertise in economic development. I would add that in, as well as perhaps make the item that says conduct research and consult with other cities made more concrete, to say invite a member of the economic development team from another city to come and present to you. El Cerrito has a part-time person, I understand, and I know that in Berkeley, they actually have a whole team, and I went and talked once when I was on the council with the head of that team, and it was very interesting, fruitful conversation. So having people come and speak with you, I think should be part of your work plan. Thank you.
Yeah, we could even suggest that as a periodic, like every 2 years, they would receive a presentation from the East Bay EDA or KALB, what have you. Make it a recurring thing. All right. Any other public comment? All right, we can bring it back to the committee. Anybody like to jump in? Member Petrilli, yes. Okay, go ahead. Member Petrilli had his hand up. Let's go ahead. Looks like he might be frozen.
Oh no, I'm muted now. Are you guys? In addition to the work with the Arts Committee, art in commercial spaces, I think that we should include. Now everyone's frozen. Are you guys frozen? You guys are frozen.
You were. We didn't hear you until like the last 10 words. So maybe start over.
I feel like you guys are freezing. Why doesn't Miss Carlton? Carlton, you go.
Okay,
we hear you
good.
pretty well.
Yeah, now we can hear you if you want to try.
Okay, yeah. So I think collaboration. I think we should, in addition to work with the Arts Committee to encourage art in commercial areas, I think that we should also add that we should work with the Sustainability Committee to make sure that the economic development is sustainable. Rosen? Good.
I think we got that. Yeah, thank you.
Sustainability collaboration.
Very good. Member Carlton?
I just had a comment on 14 and wondering if that should be a little bit more open as we do, as restaurants do open up for more indoor dining. Do we anticipate that that the curbside pickup is going to continue as it was? Does this continue to be such a need on this one? And does it make sense to look at like parking times as a whole versus just the curbside pickup ones?
Very good. It does have the word temporarily, so that's kind of built in, but and they're, yeah, very good. Member Smallins?
Right, I mean, I agree. And that's why I think we say support businesses changing needs post-pandemic. And then as things evolve or evolving needs post-pandemic, support businesses evolving needs post-pandemic. I think that takes everything into account. And as things evolve, their needs will evolve and we will say, hey, what do you need? Or they might say. And as far as Member Petrilli's, on number 6, it says, look for ways to collaborate with other city committees and local business groups. So I think that would include the Sustainability Committee. And perhaps as far as what Nick mentioned, conduct research and consult with other cities' economic development committees and other organizations about strategies for economic development, because that would include the KALB and EBEDA if we added an organizations there. So.
Did you have something to say, Brennan? Yeah, I saw you.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say one of the things that to Amy's Member Smollen's point is the organizations mentioned were sort of taken into account when having that comment. I didn't see where, sorry, I forget which one specifically, but the collaboration section, Cal EDA and East Bay EDA were considered.
Okay, very good. Member Green.
My question's on 13, and maybe the whole point of the point is to look at what sidewalk vending means. Like, I don't understand what that means.
So, I think what we need to do is just kind of start at the top and go down, and we'll just kind of yay or nay, and any questions on specific ones. Just because I'm seeing a lot of back and forth, I'm not going to get anywhere. So let's just start with number 1, inform marketing and outreach materials, including a marketing brochure, promotional video, and social media. My concern there is, what is the word inform? It sounds like this is something that staff is working on and they'll bring it to us when they're ready. Is that what we're looking at, or does it need to be more active?
I think it's both. I think we'll be bringing some materials to you, and you'll be working on some others. So I think it goes both ways.
So there is an effort, there is an understanding now where staff is working on some materials like this. Is that correct? Or
well, when we do the business e-news, or we may be working on based on your input, as you move and what is approved by the council, we'll be working with you on these items. So the word inform means, I think it's the back and forth between the committee and the staff.
So if I think let me just kind of see if I understand. So if this goes to council under the and it says inform marketing effort, that will kind of be an approval by council that those marketing efforts happen. That would mean that staff could then begin that process.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, very good. I just want, because I that's why I was concerned that if it never comes to us.
No, exactly. Yeah. And there's already a marketing brochure that you've, that was brought up at the January meeting. I think that we would, circle back into a future agenda for the committee to look at. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, very good. So I think we're going to keep that one. Yay or nay? No nays? Okay, very good. Item 2, assist in developing and analyzing results of a survey evaluate efforts. I think we've kind of, that ship has sailed. We're doing that. So we're going to keep number 2. Very good. 3, continue to provide ongoing input on potential business uses for vacant properties and new development. Is that something we're doing now? It says continue.
Well, and again, want to add in the Buxton at some point here. I don't know when, but you tell them. I'll follow your lead, Todd.
It's one of the most useful things we can do.
It is, and I wonder if we need to make it clear. So, who are we providing input to? Is there a plan being developed for recruitment? Is that because that would be the item that we would be contributing to.
So
Isabel,
one of the passive thing. I'm sorry, I should raise my hand.
No, please go ahead. Go ahead. Please.
One of the passive things, if we do develop this hub where you come in and you can find locations and you can find job listings, or you can post job openings and so on, that would be a passive way to do this. And if we had a working website that was easy to access and use, that would be one way to do it. Another would be the job recruitment. For example, I'm always amazed that we have, I don't know how many people working in the recreation department. I don't know what the staffing level is in the city, but I'm sure it's more than a dozen people. And we don't have any one person whose job it is to develop and create and recruit and retain economic entities for the city of Albany. And, you know, your budget tells you what your priorities are. We don't have a priority here for somebody who's dedicated to this. And it's the one thing we asked for when we first created the committee. So, and the city, for its own reasons, has chosen not to. I get that, but it tells you that that's not a priority for the city, and therefore we have a lot of languishing and missed opportunities. And I won't go into the history of my litany of missed opportunities in Albany, but there are major ones that we could have been involved in and didn't get, and they went to Berkeley, most of them, some to elsewhere. But they have an active team. We don't. We don't even have an active one person full time.
Very good. I wonder if, I mean, I think that proposal could go under any number of these work plan items, and we could develop a proposal and say, hey, we need this, and then send that to council as part of these work plan items. And then it's up to council, and then they can make a decision whether they want to fund that position or not, or find a way to make it work. Would that be?
Or contract it out for a year.
Or contract it out, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
we don't net. Yeah. Then maybe you're afraid to bring on a staffer, and then what do you do if your budget shrinks and then you got to fire them? This way you have a contract. I mean, there's ways to do it.
Yeah, so I think that would be the way to do it, would be to fit it in one of these work plans. I think, again, it could fit under any number of them. And we need to come up with a proposal. We'll consider it for a future agenda item. Develop a proposal for a staff time or contractor for economic development. Is that kind of what you have in mind?
Are you asking me? Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to see if that.
I just go back to the city with either a hammer or a hat in hand and say, which do you want from us?
Very good. Very good. Probably both. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think that's a good thing. And so, again, I'm just considering continue to provide ongoing input on potential business uses for vacant properties. I guess that's fine if that happens. Has there been a vacancy and somebody has come and said, hey, what do you suggest for this space? Anybody know? Anybody who's been on the committee for a while? Well, okay, fair enough. I mean, this is again part of the effort that Member Hanson Romero is so excited about, to bring these consultants in, or the service in, that would help us develop a program for retention and recruitment. Okay.
Well, to answer your question partially, yes. And when we first formed the committee, we did address this as a subject, and we sought to have it done, and we pushed to have it done, but it never developed. We're still in the same, we did a little bit, but I mean, we're still in the same place we were with regard to recruiting and developing ideas and the like.
I understand. I think we need to keep pushing.
Yeah, not that people haven't
Yeah,
done good things in the interim on lots of ways. I mean, we have the assistant city manager working with us, and we have a staffer coming in. It's not we're ignored, but is there a better way to do this? That's the question.
Agreed. Very good. Member Smolens?
So maybe in number 3, to get the Buxton proposal into this, we could say provide and facilitate input on potential business uses, because then maybe that allows us to say, okay, Buxton, this is what we've got. What do we need? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, maybe that would then wrap Buxton into what we want, what we need to do.
I do like the word facilitate there. I like it better than continue to provide. Let's see, what would that be?
Number 3, marketing.
Yeah.
Facilitate and
facilitate
provide.
recruitment. Facilitate recruitment of.
No, actually, I was looking more. I thought it was number 3, facilitate and provide input on potential business uses for vacant properties and new development, because we're facilitating and then we're providing the input. So by bringing in Buxton, we're facilitating it, and then we're actually taking that and figuring it out and spitting it out, providing that input and say, okay, this is what we need. And again, who do we provide it to? But
yeah, very good. No, I like that. I like that phrasing. Okay. Any other comments on this one before we move on? All right, number 4, support business by providing best practices for
Just to let you know,
recruiting.
I'm sorry, we have a hand raised. Should we?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Should we do?
Mr. Pilch? It's fine with me. Any objection to allowing public comment again? Okay, Mr. Pilch, please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's not usual to allow me in again, but I appreciate the opportunity. I couldn't help but speak up and second what Member Chasty has to say. I think that I'm more and more convinced that the city does need to hire professional economic development staff, and you do have a new council. You do have 3 new members of the council, so it is an appropriate time to bring that, to talk about it amongst yourselves and then bring that back to the council. One of the members of the council was previously on this commission or on this committee. Yeah, I appreciate what Member Chasty said, and don't give up the fight. Oh, and also as far as I know, the city finally has gotten the message that the recreation department might want to be less funded. And my understanding is that that would be my preference, frankly. And my understanding is that the people in the recreation department who have left are not being replaced. But I do not have all the details on that. But that is also, a bit of well, anyway, let me not get into that, but it's a good comment. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so number 4, support business by providing best practices for recruiting and hiring, help increase employment in the city, place for businesses to post job ad or an employee resume. We could add to that, organize a in-person and or virtual job fair for Albany businesses.
maybe via website and in-person and virtual job fair, because we were talking about the website, right? Or a web page, if it's a web page of the city's existing site.
Right, I think that's already here. Place for business to post job ad and employee resume. I assume that was online. Yeah. Member Petrilli, you've had a flash. I think you're muted.
Unmute. You got me? Yeah. Online platform, I think would be a good word there. And I think that maybe we could just combine those two, the job fair and the online platform, just to kill two birds with one
So
stone.
how would you phrase
Um,
that then?
I don't know. I got sort of thrown off by the
Okay.
meeting because I'm on like three different devices right now. Trying to
Okay.
combat I'm in a fight with my internet right now. I mean, it's fine as is.
Okay, place for business to post job ad and employee resume and organize or help develop
via an online platform, some sort of online platform,
via
right? Whether
online.
that's an
Okay,
app,
there you
whether
go. Not live. Yeah, via online platform. Okay.
If I
And
might,
then,
Todd?
sure.
So one of the things, all of those things are great, and I think we're going in a good direction. I would say this: people, in order to use this, they have to have some confidence that it's going to be run properly. So people are not going to be happy to post their resumes online for others to like raid them and use them for, it's worse than Facebook in a way. So you'd want to have a way for people to be able to have a communication that's somewhat protected, and you'd have to have people have confidence that their data would be protected, and to have confidence that they would have access to jobs, and jobs would have employers would have access to them that wouldn't compromise that. There's a whole sort of feel of this environment that people would suddenly say, hey, wait a minute, we never thought of the city this way before. This is a place we can go where we can deal with this whole subject area in a very effective and protected environment. And that's all I was going to say.
Very good. Very good. Member Smallins?
So responding to that, I'm not a web person, you are, but like when we applied for these positions, we put in an application and only the people who are able to, who logged in, I don't know how they were able to see it. I mean, I guess there's some way to make it secure or to make it for registered business owners you're a business, you're an Albany business owner, you can register to be a part of this website. And so everybody can't just snoop. It's just registered business owners that can access your resume. And I don't know. So
I can say when I've built job boards, usually, and this is my strategy at all, you don't want to hold on to sensitive information at all. So usually it's just coming through you, it's being emailed out, and it's not being stored anywhere to be found, is usually the way I've done this. And so it would be, you wouldn't post your resume just for people to peruse, but you'd see a job opening and you would send your resume to that person. You wouldn't hold on to it. That's kind of the way I would recommend. You don't want to store some, if you can avoid storing sensitive information, you avoid storing sensitive information at this stage.
got it. Makes sense.
Last sentence be rewritten to say, instead of place for businesses to post job and employee resume, is to provide online secure platform for businesses.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Did you get that, Brendan? Great. Okay. All right. Moving on.
Well, one more. Can I jump in real quick? Yeah. So I think that we could do this a dozen different ways. I could see it being done as if like it was facilitated by an email, and so the weekly email blast comes with a link for potential candidates to be that are looking for jobs. I see across Albany there being some sort of signage saying, hey, get a job in Albany, like here's who's hiring, with a QR code. I could just see it happening a dozen different ways. I think that we should leave this language a little bit vaguer and just say that we would, work on creating solutions for recruiting and retention within the city of Albany, and maybe include some of the ideas that we're proposing here as examples of those platforms that could be useful. Because I think every platform that we brought up has cost benefits to it.
And in fact, what we end up doing might be informed by some of these things we're talking about. Talking to a consultant or the economic development organization. So that, yeah, I think that's well taken. All right, let's move on then to item 5, work with Arts Committee to encourage art in commercial areas. I think this is only an up or down situation. I like it. I don't think there's any tuning that needs to be done. Nobody thinks we need to move. Okay, very good. Do we want to add one that specifically calls out the sustainability committee? It's kind of emphasized, it's promoting an emphasis or a priority.
Well, for me, I think that number 6 should maybe just list the other subcommittees that could be facilitated. I've got a personal interest in sustainability and in global warming and all these other things, and I'm concerned about it. So if I had to choose about sustainable, I mean, and we're also a development committee, and I'm a strong believer in sustainable development. So I would like to shout out sustainability. However, you know, as long as it's mentioned within number 6, I mean, number 6 sort of carries it all. And I would even argue that you remove number 5 and just keep number 6 and just call it a day. Unless our focus is on, I mean, I know that our focus is on arts. And that's something that could be, I'm getting unstable internet again, but that's something that we have already been discussing about and is important to most of the committee members here. So I'll leave it to you guys.
Yes, shall we make just kind of get rid of 5, have 6, and then list the Arts Committee, you know, call out the Arts Committee, Sustainability Committee specifically, but leave the other generality? Does that sound good? Member Chasty?
Yeah, art doesn't happen unless you fight for it. It really, it's like protecting turkeys, you know, protecting owls. It just doesn't happen, you know, that you really had to, especially in Albany. If you've ever been outside of the city of Albany and gone to any big city, you'll see art everywhere. We have nothing. We have like that one little curvy wave thing as you come in, and it's near the field and it's surrounded by like fencing. It's like, it's sad, you know, that there could be so much done, and there've been so many proposals, and they get either forgotten about or shouted down or put. We need to focus on art. We need to actually give it its own.
So, Member Smolens?
I agree that we don't need 5 if we give a shout out, and 6, but also make it committees and commissions, just so we're specific. I mean, it could be planning and zoning. It could be transportation too. So committees and commissions. So. Okay.
And to Member Chasey's point, I know that for the Parks and Rec Commission, I know through that there is a plan in place, and it is going to happen. It is actually happening for some sculpture pads, concrete pads being placed in certain places on the Greenway, and there will be an art loan program so that sculptures will be placed in those locations for a term. Maybe we want to, you know, we can make a work line item to identify maybe 2 locations for a similar thing on a commercial street, a pad that could be part of the Arts Committee sculpture program. That would be something we'd have to go propose to the Arts Committee, but that would be something we could consider. That'd be a little more concrete, and it'd be a little bit more forceful, I think, than just, you know, continue to work with.
Yeah, I just want to make the point. I don't think we should de-escalate the commitment to art here by making it part of a punch list of other committees. I think it should have its own. It's important.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sure. 10 years from now, maybe it won't matter. Maybe we'll be a flood with wonderful art, and then we don't need to worry about it
Fair
anymore.
enough.
There's a lot of blank walls around here.
I would easily argue that sustainability is just as equally, if not more important than art. But I just, that's, you know, it's not about owls. It's about carbon emissions and about sustainability of the future, and about having smart development and building into growth and you know, housing and all these other things that are, I mean, sustainability is a pretty ubiquitous word, but I don't know. I would feel more comfortable with the wording that Committee Smolens recommended.
So just quickly, and again, being sensitive to time, and maybe what you really want to propose is that we develop a sustainable business program of some kind, or something like that. That seems like what you're kind of saying.
Well, let me just speak to the issue of sustainability, because this is something that is beyond a committee like ours. sustainability is a much bigger subject, and it's the threat of our culture, and it's the threat of our globe at the moment. And it's not just a question of a little bit of art here and there. We're tinkering with tiny stuff, the old deck chairs on the Titanic. But the reality is that, and you know, for example, with Citizens for East Shore Parks and so on, we've been dealing with sustainability and sea rise, and we're dealing with those issues all along the shoreline. There's major issues about sustainability. And of course, everything that we do and build, and every transportation decision we make in Albany should be with sustainability in mind. So it's to kind of, it's not even apples and oranges. It's acorns and forests. You know, it's like two different things. Sustainability is so much bigger than anything we're talking about here.
I appreciate that comment. And I think that maybe we shout it out for that reason. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, shout it out any way we want to. I'm not arguing against that. You know, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. And the art is going to be easier to achieve in a more reasonable and measurable action. So I don't know how to proceed with that from here.
Member Stones?
So Feel Good, which is midway up Solano, has been working with Albany Inside Out with on a system called Dispatch Goods, where takeout items are taken out in reusable containers. And that's something that if we could work with Feel Good, which is other local business group, it's a business and sustainability, and get this information sent out to more of the restaurants through the, through the city's all-encompassing email list. That's a way we could certainly help sustainability. Would have been nice if we had done it a year ago, of course, when everyone was taking out. But yeah, I mean, that's something that's a big sustainability issue. So, and we can work with, I don't know what the Sustainability Commission can do with that, but they might be able to help with that as well. So it's a priority for sure.
Okay, any comments? So let's try to come to a conclusion here. So I'm getting a sense, what do we think about keeping the specific number 5, work with Arts Committee to encourage art in commercial areas as a specific item? Thumbs up?
I think it's a great idea.
Thumbs up. So I see one thumbs up. Let's do it all at the same time, okay? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we're good. 5 stays. Now, do we need a similar item for sustainability, or shall we roll sustainability, specifically call out the Sustainability Committee on number 6? So let's create a new item for calling out the Sustainability Committee, working with Sustainability Committee. Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I'm happy with that, doing that.
1 down. I think 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll keep.
So
number 6.
Anyone else?
What was that?
Then we're not mentioning anyone else. It just seems then it seems like
we're expressing priorities. I think we're expressing, and I think we've just took a poll on priorities, and these two service priorities. Yeah.
And we're changing.
And to that point, to that point, I would make the other one and include it with the commissions and all other, and even shout out the other organizations too. I mean, the ones that are most relevant to the Economic Development Committee. Why not? I don't know. There's only like 5, right?
Yeah, I think we need to stick with the 2. We're expressing a priority. When we're putting these 2 here, we are saying we are going to try to get something done with this right now. The other is more general, and we can try to, maybe there's some ways to cooperate, maybe not, but these 2, we see something we can actually do. So I think that's why we're calling these out specifically. Does that sound all right? So Brennan, you think you got enough there? So we're going to add an.
Oops. Todd, I
can't hear you.
You're muted.
Oh, did I drop out? Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, I just had a question about number 6. So work with Climate Action Committee for what? Like, what would be the purpose?
Yeah. So to develop, develop guidelines for information to share with the businesses.
Guidelines and programs.
information, yeah, to develop information or programs or program. Does that sound about right, Member Petrilli, what you had in mind?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Because the number 5 calls out a specific, generally a specific program, a generally specific program.
Okay. So guidelines and programs to share with businesses.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. And we remove
Okay,
6 completely as
no,
we-
6, well, I think we want to keep 6, just add
okay.
committees and commissions. So that's kind of everybody else. We could remove 6. You know, I'm not sure how much we're going to get done since we've got these other 2, but we could remove 6.
Well, we're gonna have to consult with parking and with Rex and with everybody else too, if there is a, I mean, yeah, the collaborate word is
Truth be
great.
told, if something comes up that is relevant to the traffic or transportation commission, we're going to go talk to them, or they're going to have a part. So it's going to happen kind of regardless whether we have it here or not, I guess. I think this was to look for opportunities to work with other bodies.
That was going to be my question, is if we remove it completely, does that mean that we kind of can't work with it because it's not part of the work plan? So does it help to leave it in just to kind of leave a general kind of catch-all safety net?
Especially since it includes the business groups as well. So that's an opportunity to work with the different business organizations as well. So I think it's good to leave it in.
Yeah, I say keep it.
Okay. All right. So next one is conduct research and consult with other cities about strategies for economic development. I think that goes to the point that Mr. Pilch was saying. Maybe we want to say cities and organizations.
Agree.
Okay. Moving, no comment on that one. Okay, moving to number 8. Just on number 7, do we want to specifically call out the EBEDA and CalEd, or just kind of use that as organizations and we know what we have in mind? And remember, if there's something we want to do specifically, we can talk about it in a few minutes at the future agenda items so that it gets kind of recorded and captured, and we'll circle back to it as something very specific.
I think it's okay to leave it general as is.
Okay, very good. So moving on, number 8, identify options for a successful farmers market. Is this something we want to keep on? So I do have a few things I wanted to say about this, and it is partly in response to the public comment we received, but it's also stuff that I've kind of felt for a few years now, is that we need to take a step back and think about what we want to accomplish with the farmers market. Why do we want to have a farmers market? I think the idea for this committee's interest is to bring people to the business districts. So we want to bring them here. So I would like to see it a little more general, because of, not just because of the reasons that the public comment had, but there's others as well. It may turn out a farmer's market's not really going to be the practical option there. Maybe we can look at something else, another kind of periodic or regular event. I can report that my other business, we actually sell cloaks for like cosplay and things. And we went to an event. They have a regular event on Friday evenings in Alameda, and it brings people to the street and they're walking around, and so it's another event and it's unique. There aren't these things happening every day of the week in within a 5-mile area or 10-mile radius. So that might be something to consider. So I'd like to see this a little more general. It can be a farmer's market. If we can make that work, great. Or it could be something else. So I would say identify options for a successful farmers market or other regular event on the commercial, to bring people to the commercial district. Member Petrilli?
I would like to agree with that. As far as the public comment went about that, I understand that there's a farmer's market on Wednesday and Saturday in El Cerrito Plaza, and that's close, but most people are working on those days, and there's not one middle of the week. So maybe the farmer's market will work out, and I think that we should approach it with open eyes. But I do think that this might be a good shout out to the arts and the sustainability, that whatever we do propose and whatever we do sort of come up with and focus on, that it's underneath the guise of those two things, right? It's about bringing people down to Solano Avenue or wherever this place is, right? I was suggesting, there's the giant antique fair in Alameda that happens every first 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 weekend of the month, that draws like hundreds of thousands of people, right? And we have this, Golden Gate Fields right here that could be utilized for that. So I think there's a lot of options for us. And I fully support it not being limited to a farmer's market, especially if this is a 2 to 3 year plan. So I support you.
Great, thanks. Did you capture that, Brendan? Do I need to? I'm just adding at the end or other regular event. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Should we say
time.
outdoor though? I mean, just outdoor event, and does it? So is
well,
okay, is the event that you went to, is it a regular event, or is it just something that, okay, they have, like, how often?
It's every last Friday of the month.
In Alameda, in the same place? Wow.
Yeah, on Webster Street. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not like they close the street or anything. It's just on the sidewalk, but it does bring people down. So there we go.
Yeah, another good example of that is, sorry to cut you off, but when you mentioned that, Todd, is that, when we had a restaurant in Portland, they used to have First Thursdays Art and Wine Festival. They shut down 2 blocks or like 4 city blocks, and it was a bunch of, like, the restaurants would open their bars up and there'd be on-street bars, and then there was just tons of art vendors that were out and about. And so anything that sort of draws people down and is a reason to come and is fun and a reason for people to go for a walk, really, at the end of the day, and it could be seasonal, it could be, summertime. But I know that a lot of cities are doing this, and we probably get creative and come up with an alternative to a farmer's market.
I think we've got the right chair of the farmer's market subcommittee. Excellent. Okay.
Oh, geez.
All right, let's move on then. Number 9, explore the feasibility of identifying space for a business incubator in Albany. I mean, it's just an idea I had. I don't know if this needs to be a work plan item. I think there are some opportunities with the university and the USDA building that there could be an opportunity for business incubator, but I'm fine removing this. It seems like we've got a lot here already. I can just send an email to Jeff or something and we can call that one done.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean when you say a business incubator? What all?
Well, so it is generally it's a facility of some kind that is designed and set up and recruits businesses that are growing out of research that's happening, for instance. So somebody has developed some new technology for something at the USDA or at the university, and they can come here. It's near where they're still going to school. It's near where they're still working, and they can kind of develop this into potentially a business. Make it things successful. So it's a way to develop business, but also develop business that is likely to stay in Albany, right? It's a way of developing new industries within Albany. So, and actually the idea I had was there's that large building that used to be the pet store, and then it was the tile place right near Target, right off the freeway, and it's right next to the USDA. Very awkward space. That seems like would be a good location for something like that. But and also it's also environmental. I mean, there's the bay and all that. It could be an environmental focused incubator. But that's really just an idea. I don't think this needs to be on the work plan. So let's just we can remove it now, is what I would say. Assist in design of economic recovery plan. That implies that there is an economic recovery plan being developed. Is that an accurate thing to say?
Yes, the city will at some point retain some services to help with this aspect of economic development.
Okay, got it. Very good.
Yeah.
I think we're going to keep that one then. Member Smullins?
So is that basically meaning support businesses changing needs post-pandemic? Is that where that fits in? Is that what recovery means?
It's still pretty vague, I think. It just depends what we find out from the survey and what we find what resources are available. So it's still very much undefined.
Right, but it's recovering from COVID. I mean,
yes.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can we say then to support businesses evolving needs post-pandemic, or to support businesses evolving needs, or something like that? So then we we find out what they need through the survey, and then this is what we try to do, or what we try to help them with. Because the others just
I think I'm comfortable with the language as it is, because it would include that.
Okay.
I don't think we need to spell it out any further.
Okay.
I think that Yeah. I mean, that can be our feedback. When it comes to us for feedback, that could be part of our feedback.
Okay.
Very good.
I think item 2 kind of covers though a little bit. It also kind of covers a little bit part of what you're saying too, I think though.
Yeah, right, right.
I think between the two, we've kind of got it covered.
Yeah. Okay, provide input on a business, let's see, is that where we are? Yeah, business recruitment and retention plan when it comes to the committee. Seems like it seems like that and number 3 are closely related. We may not need both of them. What do you think?
I think that we somehow combine them just for one item. I feel like they're very similar.
Mhm.
So is it a project or is it marketing? I guess that's our question, is where do we put it?
I think it's ongoing. I think it's marketing.
I do too. I think that's where it makes the most sense.
Okay, so slash it from here then, right?
I think so. Do we want to rephrase 3 to include the idea of a business recruitment and retention plan?
We could add in the word retention on number 3.
Yeah, yeah, continue to provide ongoing input on potential business uses for vacant properties, new development, and the business recruitment and retention plan.
But remember, the beginning is now facilitate,
Yeah.
provide.
Oh, facilitate, right, facilitate,
Instead
yes,
of
very good.
continue to, yeah.
I like that word, facilitate, yeah,
That's a good word.
facilitate,
Like
excellent.
actually doing something.
Why don't we just facilitate number 12 now? Okay, moving right on.
There we go.
Okay. Provide input of wayfinding signage to increase visibility of city when presented to committee. When the signage program, which is much larger than this committee, comes to us, so we'll provide feedback. I think that's fine. I think we want to do that. So look at sidewalk vending in Albany. The issue here was that there's state law was recently passed saying that we really have no control over sidewalk vending. The only thing that we can say have any control over, we can require business license, we can require licensing, but we can't say no unless it's a safety issue. I don't know if there's anything we need to do here or not. I don't think there's anything necessarily for us to do here. I just wanted to bring it up as something we might talk about. So we can cut that one too, as far as I'm concerned.
What does that mean? That means like the ice cream guy who went in front of the movie theater the other day?
That's right.
What it was?
For example, yeah.
Okay.
So the state law specifically calls out competition. You can't say no because of competition. It can only be for safety, like if the people can't get by, something like that.
Well, can we keep that and add and use of shared space? Because that would also include outdoor seating on sidewalks, bulb outs, and streets. So.
Yeah, interesting. I kind of think that, do you think that that would be covered by other items where we're talking about pandemic responses, or?
Well, I
think it's larger than that.
I think it's larger. Also, I just think that if we're going to be specific about parking, we need to be specific. About looking at free parking time limits and adjusting that. We need to also look specifically in the other direction. So if we're going to shout out specifically one, I think we need to shout out specifically the other.
I was just going to remove this item. Member Petrilli, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I would, hold on, now I'm probably echoing.
I think you're muted now. We heard you and then you went.
No, I think that we don't touch it because it seems to be a Pandora's box of issues and problems and potentially hard to execute on. And if anything, I might include that in the farmer's market sort of language up above. If we're expanding that to include sort of vending and arts and cultural events.
Jeez, maybe
so
I'm muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I second that you don't do it.
That we remove number 13.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Todd, that it's a Pandora's box.
I think my internet's going in and out, so I'm just hearing patches. So if I'm repeating something, forgive me. Okay, very good. Okay. What do we think? Remove 13? Change 13?
If we remove 13, we need to remove 14.
Well, we're going to have a discussion about 14
Yeah,
now.
so I think they're
So we're moving 13. Okay. Okay, 14, explore temporarily adjusting free parking time limit on some spaces to allow for curbside pickup. So I would understand that to be designating shorter term parking in some spaces, so it's not the 90 minutes. Is that correct? So there'd be like 15-minute spaces to allow more rapid turnover for pickup of pickup.
Yeah,
Whether that's an Uber or carry out or whatever. Member Hanser.
yeah. So one thing in particular, because I find this probably somewhat necessary because of the fact that there is so much pickup. And like I sat there at Zaytoons one night and saw probably 20 pickup services park in the driveway of the apartment building next door and, you know, throw on their hazards and go pick up. And so I feel like they need more possible designated spaces. And maybe it's for just specific time frames, like the heavy traffic times that those are used. Like they're not going to be used in the morning. So I don't want to just designate that space to only be 15 minutes in the morning. I'd rather be between the hours of, you know, 5 to 9. This is a 15-minute area for pickup.
Okay. Comments on that?
I think somewhere we need to then say something of use of the public right of way or use of shared space in general, including free parking time limit or outdoor seating. So.
Amy, this is specifically about time limits, allowing people to kind of avoid people pulling into driveways and red zones as much as possible. This isn't really about shared space. This is about efficiency and allowing, you know, making it turnover to enable the takeout that has been so popular. I mean, that's kind of what this topic is. It's not for or against anything else. It's just about.
No, I know that. I just feel like it's about about the use of public space or of the public right of way. So that's my take on it.
Okay.
So.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a lot of experience with this. We used to have like 150 drivers come through Little Star every single night. I think that one way to approach this is to make it more vague and just talk about like general efficiencies with parking within the city and support and implement policies, and or encourage the city to expedite and approve proposals by the local merchants, because, you know, the taco place, Five Tacos, right, there's a loading zone there that we actually applied for 3 or 4 years ago. In San Francisco, we did the same thing where we applied for a loading zone that was loading from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock on, you know, 7 days a week. So I think that this goes in the transportation department, and that we should sort of take a more of a vague role, if not just get it off of our agenda, because it might not be directly related to economic development. I don't know, but that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, maybe Member Hanson-Merrill, you just need to write a note to the Transportation Commission and have them consider this. We've identified this problem because really it is more their bailiwick than ours anyway. And I'd agree, somebody who looks a lot like me and drives a car just like mine might have parked in a red zone for a while to pick up food one night. I mean, that might have happened. I'm not saying anything one or the other. I'm certainly not admitting anything, but I think I may have seen that. So I think there's need, and maybe that would be the way to handle this, because it's kind of outside of our realm.
And this goes back to the collaboration with other committees and commissions, sort of,
Okay,
right?
What do we say? Did you hear me there?
I said we make the yeah. I think that we make the language more vague, or we redact it from the work plan.
I'm fine to redact it. I agree that I think it's probably more transportation, and it's so specific. And as we move forward out of shelter in place and people are getting out and are more comfortable with dining, maybe you don't have the takeout, although my committee member Petrelli, you have seen it firsthand from Little Star, so maybe it has nothing to do with the pandemic period.
Well,
And
remember,
the drivers
it's
are
not
annoying,
just
and they're gonna break rules or whatever. It's really about like double parking on Solano and permitting double parking for short term, right? And I'll tell you that most of the drivers are not necessarily Albany residents, right? They're coming from all over to higher density areas in order to make money, and they should be allowed to do that, right? So I don't know. Again, it's sort of I think a can of worms.
I mean, frankly, I'd be surprised if this isn't already on the agenda of the Transportation Commission because it's a clear problem. So maybe that's all we need.
Sure,
to do.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, considering rideshare and everything else there too. So I'm going to say we remove 14. Any objections to that? Seeing none. Okay, no. So there we go. So there were a few just before we finish up. I know we're a little over time. Real quickly, there are a few items that I just kind of jotted down during the previous discussion of the strategic plan. Let me just kind of list those, and we can see if we want to do anything about them. I think we've already talked about the job fair. Do we want to say something about the business portal? I think maybe that's already covered here, so we can kind of leave that. What about business spotlight? Maybe that's also covered. And then the digital welcome packet, I guess those are all covered and already covered. We can just remember those as potential agenda items under these work plan items. How does that sound? Anything else anybody else jotted down or wants to bring up?
The one thing that we're not talking about is the one thing that we're not mentioning is sort of the long-term development and supporting the San Pablo corridor, supporting the sort of the infill development and sort of looking to the 5-10 year population requirements from the city and all these other things and how potentially we could facilitate and support those endeavors. Is this something that I think is missing?
Yeah, it is interesting. The specific plan is not here, and I assume it's going to come to us, or maybe it already has. So it may not need to be here. But do we want to?
One thing I'll mention is when that was on the previous work plan 2 years ago, and I think that has kind of developed further in the process and is now under the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I would say that a lot of that would probably fall under collaborating with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I figure if they want to hear from us, they will, it'll come before us. Yeah. And we can, again, as individuals, we can always make our comments to that body. All right. I think we do need to vote on this one, right? We need to approve the work plan as amended. I will so move. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Member Smallins. Okay, let's vote on this.
Committee Member Carlton?
Approve.
Committee Member Chasty?
He's on the phone.
Committee Member Chasty, or yeah.
We
need a vote. We're trying to vote here.
He can't.
I think we're going to have one abstention. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Committee Member Green?
Yes, agreed.
Committee Member Hanson Romero?
Yes.
Committee Member Petrilli?
Yes.
Committee Member Smallins?
Yes.
And Chair Abbott?
Yes. All right. Let's see, closing items, future agenda items, anything we want to be sure to bring up?
One thing I'll mention.
I would like. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You go, Brandon. You're
well, I was just going to say one thing I will mention is the presentation on cannabis, history of cannabis in Albany will be in June.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Member Petrilli?
I just wanted to say that I'm probably going to go through the subcommittee that is for the strategy. We'll probably convene one more time and go and review that as well and sort of get a final document which we can share. I've already shared it with Brennan, which I failed to do last time, but I did it this time, and sort of get that wrapped up and buttoned up for recommendations. And maybe should we present on that one more time with a more succinct sort of action item list?
Yeah, I would like to see just
to get that updated.
We want to change this, and this. Yeah. I mean, truth be told, the agenda item wasn't revising the strategic plan, but to pull work plan items from the strategic plan. So If we can keep it short, I think that would be fine, because I really want to recognize
Yeah.
the work that you folks have done. You've done a lot of work, and it's been very valuable.
That's fine. I do feel that it does need to be updated because it was produced in 2017, and it should be
Absolutely.
modernized and pushed into the post-COVID world. And I don't think it would take a ton to do that.
Then
Fair
it
enough.
should be
Fair
added
enough.
to the work plan then. You should add it to the work plan because it's something that's going to take some time to do by the committee. So you should add that to the work plan if that's what
So
you want to
let's
do.
add a new item, review and suggest updates, or review and update the economic development strategic plan. That sound all right?
Yeah. And then if we need to pull more data, then it'll push that out a year, but we can do it. I think it'd be relevant also to do it in a sort of a new world order.
And Isabel, when will our work plan go to council? Would it be in time for them to bring this back next month, or should they plan for the following month?
I have to look, but I think you're on the schedule for the first or second meeting in June. I think it may be the first, so you may not have another meeting
Okay, very
to
good.
talk about the work plan again.
So Member Petrilli, just officially, we're not really supposed to work on this until it's approved by council. So you folks are welcome to meet, but we probably wouldn't have it back as an agenda item until July, I think, is what we're looking at. So there's that.
Great. We'll just clean it up and make it look a little bit prettier and put polish on it, and then I think it'll be ready for next steps.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
And
Okay.
you may have
So
to make another motion for the amendment.
I think we're
to
going to
the-
have a motion to add that item to the work plan, which was to review and update the economic development strategic plan. Is that correct? Okay, that's my motion.
I second
Or
it.
maybe somebody else making all the motions. Maybe somebody else should.
Can I ask where that's going to go and which section that's going to go? Projects or?
Oh, one thing too is it doesn't have to necessarily be in different groups. It was more just for ease of understanding the content.
Yeah, I found that valuable. Thank you, Brennan. Yeah, it doesn't have to fit under one of the categories.
Okay,
That was an Anne Hirsch idea, so don't want to give credit to her.
Well, thank you, Anne.
thanks,
You're
Ann.
good. It kind of provides context. Good.
It's helpful.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'm sorry.
I'll second.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm used to that. Let's have a vote.
Committee member Carlton,
Agreed.
committee member Chasty, committee member Green,
Agreed.
committee member Hanson Romero,
Yes.
committee member Petrilli,
Yes.
committee member Smullins,
Yes,
Chair Abbott.
Yes. All right. Very good. Now,
I vote yes.
Oh,
very
Sorry.
good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You look like you're having a great conversation. I don't know, but it's
Yeah, I was, anyway, doing good for the world. In
very
fact,
good. You're multitasking.
dealing
We all
with
appreciate that.
sustainability in a big way.
Very good. All right. Member Smullins?
so may I ask, may I request that staff sends us the work plan and the business survey before they send it out? Is that possible since we made a bunch of changes? Is that possible?
We can certainly send you the work plan, but we can't make any changes without coming back to the commission. So
Okay. What about, what about the business survey since it's going out to 1,000 people? Can you
it's
send
the
that out
same,
first?
same thing. So we can work with the chair, on the documents and to make sure that they reflect what has been discussed by the committee. But if we do provide you with, the final draft, it's really, for your information only.
Right, well, for our information, because so we get it. Yeah, yep,
Mhm.
cool. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Very good. I froze for a second. I think I'm back. Okay, very good. Future agenda items. I think that it's time, Member Hanson Romero, for us to come up with a proposal regarding the Bruxton service and just, and because that fits under the existing work plan and the new one. So let's go ahead and work up something and get that ball rolling. Brennan, we'll work up some language for an agenda item and we'll share that with you. And you can provide feedback. Other agenda items for upcoming, it doesn't have to be next month, it can be a future item. We just want to kind of get it recorded so it's on the list.
I just want to mention I may miss the next meeting. I'm supposed to be doing this thing out of state with the big family gathering in early June.
Okay, understood. It's getting that time of year. Yeah.
So
Any
when,
other agenda items? Okay.
I'm wondering about a report from the subcommittee on the farmer's market, if we want to do that in June or July. If we're having the discussion on the cannabis talk in June, I don't know if that leaves us enough time.
Let's let them go ahead and meet, and then they'll get, if they get back to us in time, we can do it.
We can add it
but
later.
I don't want to put that pressure on them at this point.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we needed to add the agenda items now or if we could add it before the next meeting.
We could add, we can add the, no, this is just suggested agenda items, is not the agenda. We're not creating the agenda.
Okay, great.
And I will share with the subcommittee that members of the previous subcommittee are ready and willing to meet with you or share information with you about where they got and what they learned, so you can hit the ground running.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other agenda items? Seeing nothing, I think we can call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is June 3rd. Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.